Yeah, well, we're not. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to those in the room. Got a good room full of people today, and those online as well, and those who may watch the recording later. Welcome. We're going to begin with Rākaihautū, and it will come up on the screen, which it is there. Pātaka te hau ki te
Pātaka ki te toa.
Kia mahi ki te toa. Kia maharatara ki tāna. He hi ake ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hauru. Tīrei, hauru. Kia ora, thank you for that. Okay, I think we're just going to get straight into apologies. Now, Nigel was trying to get on Zoom, but he's elected member from Akaroa, but he was unfortunately unable to for various reasons. He's now working with IT to try and get that sorted. Anybody else have any apologies? No, I'm happy to move that. Is someone happy to second that, Tyrone? All those in favour?
Right.
It is carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 2, declarations of interest. Any that people want to mention now? Or as always, if it comes up during the meeting, I'd like to record the Little River Wairewa Walkway because I'm on the Little River Wairewa Community Trust, which is associated with that. Donald? Kia ora, Donald. Kia ora. And if it comes up during the meeting, just mention it at the time. That would be lovely.
Super.
Confirmation of previous minutes. Has anybody got any changes or amendments that they need?
I'll move that we accept them.
Okay, Tyrone's
Just looking
moving.
at my fellow board members to see if they were going to raise any concerns.
Yep, seconding. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you. Right. Moving right along to public forum. And first up, we have Little River Wairewa Walkway with Donald Matheson. Come on up. We're a friendly bunch. Oh, and Shelley.
Yeah.
Yay. Come on up, Shelley.
Where do we sit? Just here?
Yeah, at the front, wherever you feel comfortable.
Can I just write? This is not a conflict of interest thing, but it's, I'm a trustee at Donald.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Trustee.
Yeah, good to know.
Just in case.
Should we introduce ourselves? Yeah. Okay. Starting off with Gillian.
So I'm Gillian Fraser. I'm from the Rivertown subdivision. My name is Imran. I'm from Mount Herbert. Nice to meet you.
Asu Sen Economic is from Akaroa.
Lynn from Wairewa.
Morena, I'm Matt McClintock from the Christchurch City Council and the manager of the community governance teams.
Good. Tyrone Fields, Christchurch City Council. Thanks, Peninsula. Good to see you both.
Morena, Kathy Lumweb from the Livingston.
Kia ora, I'm Shelley Washington. I'm the manager at the Royal Double Banks Peninsula Trust.
Kia ora koutou, Donald Matheson, trustee of the Little River. We have some slides there. Should we just walk into it?
Well, should we let you know when you've got a minute left?
Right.
If you want questions, sorry. That's my first
This is
question.
very important, Lynn. We need to let this run. This needs to go as run.
Yeah. I understood, Tyrone. Yeah. Would you like some warning about time so that we can just get questions if you want? Okay, thank you.
So we want to ask for your help with officials, with staff at the City Council to progress a request for the council to work with us on authority over the proposed pathway. I'll give you the detail of that in a second. There's a pathway that we are proposing. You can see there's a little river down the bottom there, in between the pub and the first street of Little River. If you go to the next slide, you can see detail on that. Most of it's across private land, Craig Mason. Some of it's across road reserve from Rākaihautū, and then there'll be a wee bridge to be built at the very end, just to give you context there. We can come back to that if you've got any questions. Next slide. The reason we're doing this is we want to connect the community from one end to the other. So there's been a pathway by Rākaihautū in Cooktown, so you can cycle and walk through to the village. This would extend it out to the other end of the village, also give access to the Whenua Ora, the privately owned piece of land that may well be opened up for public use. And there's a pub at the end as well, though that's not the main motivation. Some of the challenges, we will need a wee bit of money, but we're confident we can get that once we get through the legal stage, which is where we're at the moment. The question of controlling authority is a key one that we're looking for a wee bit of help from you with. As you can see, we're quite a way through the planning of process. Royal Donald Trust and Little River Wairewa Community Trust have joined in a partnership on this. Rākaihautū Kotahi is keen, interested parties, landowners are keen, Craig Mason's very keen, and we've had some funding for first legal stage of the easement across Craig Mason's land. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, our trust have put some money in to support the project as well, of $15,000, and we're very keen for the project to go ahead. We see a lot of benefits in it for the local community, and also connecting up with future other tracks that we're involved in, or that we may be involved in the future with other partners.
Next slide, please. Under walking access legislation, a pathway that crosses private land needs a controlling authority. You probably know all this already because you've dealt with many of these, I imagine, but this is new for me anyway. Having the Anuku walking access has got overall responsibility, but a controlling authority is responsible for management and maintenance. Currently, next slide, the City Council has not committed to being that controlling authority. It's not in plans, there's other priorities. The project is kind of stuck until we cross this hurdle. As you can see from our fancy graphic with the help of ChatGPT, we need a public body of some kind to fill that role. We're happy to have a delegated role there, but in order to start that discussion properly with City Council staff, we're looking for your support. We're not asking for money from the City Council. We're not asking for any commitments other than starting a conversation there. But with the understanding that if we don't have a controlling authority under this legislation, it will be difficult to get the easement lodged with Lynn's, the easement paperwork through the lawyers.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you.
Cool. And that's us, really. I think there might be another, no, that's the last slide. Shelley, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think just worth mentioning that it has been done before. For example, the walkways on Te Ahi Pātaka Conservation Park have an easement, and in that case, that trust is not the controlling authority. It's having a look as a controlling authority there, and then the day-to-day management is just delegated to Te Ahi Pātaka Charitable Trust through, a management agreement, which could be the same in this case. So this is really just a matter of the City Council filling a piece of the puzzle, but they wouldn't have to do the day-to-day management or develop the track. It's really just a paperwork piece of it. So, yeah, unlocking the.
Oh, look, that's our slogan. You should have said it.
Unlocking the benefit. Thank you. Questions? There'll be a few. Tyrone already put his hand up, and then Asif.
So thank you. So at the moment, like the feedback from staff is that like it's down the priority list. Is that kind of what we're getting?
Yes. So it hasn't been a no because there hasn't been a formal request to do anything. I think there's also the other issue is the pathway for doing this, like who in the council does it, right? And we talked to who. There's different understandings from different officials. We've encountered already that Doc has to take this role, no, the City Council has to take this role, that kind of stuff.
That old chestnut dog.
It isn't actually Doc. Doc has no role here, so that's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Controlling authority, in a public land and private land, that can be quite tricky because as a controlling authority, they are responsible for the liability of something happens in the area. So the example you mentioned, how is that addressed in that case?
In the case of Te Āwhai Pātaka Conservation Park, it's all set out in a management agreement what the responsibilities of the trust is for the walkway, things like maintaining the track, fixing slips. You know,
Yeah.
the only thing that can't be delegated are more like enforcement powers, say if someone was to go into a walkway with a gun or something like that, only a person like with enforcement powers at a council could deal with something like that, but I don't think that's really
Big issues and-
a big issue on other walkways.
Okay,
in
so
this area.
okay, the following, I think the Walking Access Act 2008 does address quite a few things, but it is not quite clear if an accident happens in that lane, who would be responsible for it? If something falls or some.
Yeah, so with any kind of recreation on land, the responsibility is really with not no one, but it certainly isn't the private landowner, unless they do something quite dangerous, like felling a tree, like over a track, or you know something like that. In their day-to-day farming or management of their property, they don't have responsibility for walking on their land. And how much responsibility a council or an organisation like that would have think would be pretty small too. You know, when people have accidents on dockland tramping, you know, dock doesn't get in trouble unless they've created some kind of structure that's unsafe.
Okay,
We have accidents all the time, don't
Yeah.
you? Obviously, you want to make sure the walkway was safe.
yes, yeah, thank you, thank you.
Question. Gillian, last one.
So is the guts of it really, well, your request, I guess, is just to get staff to work with the Food Trust and preparing a nuku to come up with some organisation that's going to be controlling this.
Under the Act, the council would probably need to be the controlling authority unless they've managed to convince Herringa to take on that role. It has overall responsibility and it's looking for next year. So that would be, I think, a key part of that. And then to work with us, on the details, the legalities. It wouldn't be to do with the funding of it, because we would, for the funding for the building of it, would seek separate funds from lotteries or whoever.
Seems like we've got a good understanding of what's needed. Just looking for a little indication about the next steps, I guess, which is probably just investigating that possibility, asking staff to investigate that as a formal request, and then we'll just find out the next steps and figure it out from there. Does that sound okay? Yep, lots of heads nodding. Okay, you guys happy with that? Yeah.
Well done.
Just one last thing. The project is ready to go to the next stage. So it would be good if this was kind of like not the 2027 plan, but
Right, okay.
you know.
ASAP on that, okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming all the way here.
Thank you.
Good luck getting home, Donald. later on.
Yeah, you got here.
Yeah, I know. All right, great. Thank you very much. Next, we've got Sarah coming to talk to us about women's safety in Littleton. Welcome, Sarah.
Morning, everybody. Morning, Sarah. Okay, just into it, straight into it.
Yeah, so you've got the hot seat. You're there. We're listening.
So I'm here today to have a conversation with the community board and hopefully a follow-up on staff around issues of women's safety in Littleton. I'm here in a private capacity. I have experienced a number of sexual assault, stalking and attempted abduction in Littleton, and I've spent the last, it'll be coming up 3 years now, working with the police, victim support, citizen advice bureau, individual law practitioners, legal aid, around understanding, you know, the various processes that you have to engage with when you experience something like that. And as part of that, I also wanted to understand if there was anybody else having those experiences locally, because it can be quite an isolating position when you're deep in that. So I put a post on the local Facebook page giving a no-name sort of articulation of, you know, what my rough experience was. and asked those in the community that had experienced something similar along those lines to get in touch, either through that message chain or privately. For the next probably 36 hours, my phone went non-stop with messages from local women in Littleton who had experienced a range of terrible events in their lives, and some of them still ongoing. And what it did was it gave me a bit of an overview of actually what's happening from demographic. The responses come in from age 12 up to late 60s. So I was looking for patterns, and I was looking to help sort of understand the issue and perhaps any prejudices that might be there. What I compiled for you was a list of all of those who responded to me, but only those that gave their permission to do so. So I hold a number of stories that I know of that haven't been shared with you, and I do want to acknowledge those women who are in that position. For a lot of people, when I followed up wanting permissions to include their story without any personal information, it was a very traumatic experience for them, particularly some of the younger women who are still at school. And so they really wrestled with standing up, calling it out, etc., all the phrases that we're told to do. But for some of them, they couldn't do that. So I think it's really important to understand that the snapshot that you've received is a snapshot of those that did have the ability to stand up and actually say something. There are real risks around naming, particularly when there's a name and shame attitude comes into play, and I think we need to look at, as a community, about how we actually can handle some of these issues. But just to give you an example,
we are keeping, because this is a sensitive topic, so we're naming names or places, aren't we? Just checking that that's the case. Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
With the information that you've received. Sorry,
Great.
I forgot where I was going.
So sorry. I just needed to make that clear. I'm so sorry.
Please pause the clock.
Take your time, Sarah.
An example, sorry?
Just to give you an example.
Thank you, Gillian. So just to give you an example of this, I've been in this process probably for about 3 or so weeks, maybe 4 weeks. And it is part of my visibility in that situation. The experience that I have of stalking, which is still going on, escalated. That particular person got so agitated by the position that I was taking, by rather than going to the police, coming to the community board on this occasion, that they came to my place of work last week and threatened to put a hammer through my head and slit my throat. So staff called the police. They came and arrested this individual. It took 4 police officers and 2 sets of handcuffs to restrain him and take him away. He was back circling my house within 2 days. So I think we need to understand the gravity of this type of situation, the risk that it puts people in, but also the importance of looking at a broader approach rather than just the speaking out. There are a range of strategies. So as an overview, bigger picture stuff, thankfully someone who was involved in this conversation with me drew my attention to the Helen Clark Foundation, and their latest research and advocacy initiative is addressing sexual violence against women. It's exploring underreporting of sexual violence, inadequate definitions of consent in legislation, emergence of deep fake AI pornography, and the practice of virginity testing in New Zealand. So these are some of the topics that the Helen Clark Foundation is looking at. What I'm envisaging is a conversation with the researchers there that we can look at what a Littleton-based solution might look like. Our situation is not unique, but as a community, I think we can come up with something that is unique to our community if we put some thinking behind it. Now, just to wrap up my end, because I do want to talk to you, these are, I guess, the key topics I think that we should explore with staff and further work around this. Understanding what predatory behaviour and grooming actually looks like, rather than our perception of it through TV or just superficial knowledge. Absence of local community policing and inherently traumatic police processes. Community policing no longer exists. Self-defence, investing in women locally, building strength, confidence, courage and knowledge. Probably 4 years ago, I had a terrible stutter. I had to leave my job couldn't drive, struggled to go to the supermarket, and was diagnosed with PTSD. My whole life ceased to function. And I'm still recovering from that and still have episodes of that. But for me, it's been about having affirmation from others that's given me confidence, and it's made me really freaking angry. So I'm able to be here not as a courageous individual, but as an angry one. Adjusting our expectations of public security and safety. When we look at I'm involved in events management, running large events, festivals, gigs. We take our events-based approach to security and safety as having people visible there for security depending on the numbers. There's no visible security on our local streets, particularly at night at these times. There is no local police. Understanding risks, which I've addressed earlier. Vigilantism. Everyone likes to say the locals will sort it out. That also comes with its risks. And what the implications of reprisal are for those people that do stand up, or the person that they're dealing with is inherently, deeply problematic. The financial implications for victims, the costs to local businesses for trying to address some of these issues, whether it's drink spiking tests, whatever, extra staff. There are pass-on costs, and what investment strategies could look like for communities as a whole to address this. And I'd like to acknowledge the Harbour Business Association for picking up the thread on drink spiking and having some conversations with our local establishments, but I won't speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate your time here, and the hard journey that you've gone through to get here, and congratulations for being out there today and representing your community and your women in your community for better safety amongst the community, lots of community. So we've got time for one question, and Luana's already put a hand up for that, sorry.
Lovely to meet you. Just a bit of a plug, Stop Services, I've been a specialist clinician with them. They work in the area of prevention of sexual harm. They're a wonderful organisation if you want somebody to come out and talk to the community about how you can put initiatives in place to prevent harm. And just kind of on that, you've kind of touched on that as well, just in your discussions with other organisations like Victim Support with the police, are there any other initiatives that have been put in place that have been successful in other areas?
I think this is what we need to do as a next step, is actually, I can do that research. It's better if we do it as a group. Ideally, it's better if someone's paid for it. This is a really, really big topic. I can Google and get a few of them, but I just feel it needs a more deeper and a more thorough process. I mean, I've got my own suggestions on what I think could be good initiatives. I think, for example, we should have free self-defence classes for any female aged 13 and up in Littleton. Just building the strength of our local women first and foremost to be able to even just speak. And I think also an initiative that will be useful is that sort of event-based security strategy. We've got some fantastic security teams we use at my work for running events. A lot of those bouncers are female as well. They were fortunately on hand when I had a reprisal incident last week, and that really sort of drew my attention to the fact that, why can't we pay to have some sort of security on the street? It's $38 an hour. We can't change the police system overnight, but we can make small steps in terms of what we think would make our streets or places safer.
And that leads me to thinking, like, as a community board, it's sort of out of our delegation in regards to safety, but what we can do is hear from the community, and maybe invite Roy from the Christchurch Police to our next meeting to discuss.
So who's Roy?
He's the senior sergeant. New Zealand Police.
It's based in Central.
Joe can contact you in regards to that.
So is this a Littleton officer or a Central Police?
Yeah, have a chat to Joe about that afterwards. That's okay. Yeah.
Are you not able to ask that question?
I'm not. No.
Why?
Because I don't know.
Why can't we know the name of where the police officer is?
We'll
be in touch, but time is finished for this moment right now. Thank you, Sarah. So what we're going to do is invite the Roy from the police to come and chat to us about you know, what the next steps are and
It
how
would
we
be
can help
really
you.
useful to have someone from the Littleton Police Station involved, because a lot of us have been to the Littleton Police Station on many occasions and without understanding that it's not an open community policing office. So even though it's not open, it's where a lot of us have gone for support. And it's quite frustrating to call the police when they're 6 doors down the road, and often a lot of officers are there, and you might wait till the next day for someone to come from Central. So I'm conscious of not wanting to get into a conversation around community policing, but I think we just need to acknowledge actually how women are trying to engage with that service here.
Yeah, I can see that's frustrating.
Thank you.
All right, Sabrina. We've got Sabrina next from Littleton Harbour Business Association. No, Sabrina. Okay. That's okay. Well, lucky there. I just saw our extra person from Naval Point, boat safety, walking before, James, and you've also got, come on up. Who have you got with you here today? I've forgotten. Oh, yes. Let know when you've got 1 minute left so we can ask some questions.
I just want a moment to introduce the new start the time clock.
Oh, okay, start the timer after you introduce.
We're very grateful for the support from Heather for their presentation. I'd also like to thank Linda in the corner here, and also you, Mr. Seven, supporting us, because it's 2023 since we last engaged with the board, and we've got to keep the board informed. And we're also coming to the thing this afternoon, which is to keep up with what's going on. We presented the same presentation to the full council, and we're hoping that we actually see some progress. 2020, we originally started to try and get progress, and we've been going right through till now. We've seen 0 safety improvements. Right, we've got with me Eden Husband, and we've got Tony Holland here. We're going to run through the presentation. Right, we just want to start with this first bit here. Stage 1 of works is what we were asking for, and we want the council to engage and go through that, because we think it's really important we actually make some progress. We got in March 18, we got from City Council $10 million in the long-term plan for the Christine Bow project, and there's been no safety improvements done. And then we look back in 2013, the community board, thanks to our chairman, we got $3,000 to look at urgent safety improvements, and there's been nothing done with that. Then the Christine Bow project, which is March 18, and we've got the money sitting there, but it hasn't been spent on anything that's essential. We surveyed with the students 5,025 ratepayers in March, and we looked at all the community boards here, and it's got where they come from, and we had 100% support to try and get some improvements made. We then look at the presentation done by Jocelyn Maloney to 2010 to the community board, and you can see the nice spur breakwater here, which is really essential. It stops the waves coming round, which come in every day, 5 or 6 days a week, around the corner. Since the earthquakes, over half it is probably 3/4 of it has been submerged at half tide, and it is really essential for our operation. The next 2 is what it was like prior to the earthquakes, and the one now where you can see at half tide where it's actually below the water level. Then we've got an example here of the, I'll keep running through, sorry. I'll keep running it going. I'm sorry, a bit of a lack of. Yeah, here, Jocelyn Maloney's spare breakwater. And then next one, please. Yeah, that's the spare breakwater before and after. You see it's all gone. Next one, please. And this one here, this is the example of what happens for 45 Ks, or 45 knots at least. Water on one side with the wind on it, and on the other side, sheltered where you can get on your boats on and off the water, which is really essential. What we've asked for the next one, please, is to try and do harbour, which is prepare it from the earthquakes. So stage 1 here, Eden, you want to say a little bit about why this bit's essential?
Oh, yes, sorry, that's the break, the existing breakwater was submerged in the boat during the earthquake. And it's bad, it was like here now. So that's an essential sort of part of it, protection for the naval point area.
We've got a price from RJ Civil for the materials and what was needed and a quote for what it is to get some idea what was involved and the consent for it, which is already approved. And council staff are under the impression that it wasn't still viable, but we've actually checked on that and we sent the information out to the councillors that it certainly is still current and it's still live. This is what the problem is. The waves come around here every day and it makes it really hard to get on and off the water. It's just the spare breakwater out the side is able to stop it. If you can't see in this picture, the ones we looked at before, and that stops these waves coming around the corner on easterly days or northeasterly days. Then the next one is now what the spare breakwater looks like at hard tide. You can see the wee piece on the left-hand side is still good, and this other, if we just got that repaired, would make a big difference. I have 21 days where I've been over here and I haven't been able to go out my boat because the conditions have been so bad. I just want to acknowledge the work in the next one. Roger Allen started sailing over here in 1958 and he spent 3 days a week coming over here and recording all the information. I want to record his passing. It's really sad to have lost him this last year. And we've also lost Tony Whiteley, who's the former harbour master. He was a great supporter of small boats and things here, so it's been really essential. Now, the council staff, the next one, didn't realise why we can't use the nice new pontoons that came from Prada that were up in Auckland and they were put here for the SLGP, because we can't, when we take our keels up, with the folded or lifting, we can't get from there to the ramp to get on our trailers because the keels hang down. We take it up the motors in the back of the boat and it can't turn sideways. And also the next one, please, which is the rudder. So that is down as well. So these are key components to be able to move it. And there's 50 metres or so rocks along this. There's just no way you can get from the pontoons they've got there, which are lovely. Great for motorboats, great for jet skis. Here's the costing of what it was going to cost to do. This is for the rock to build up the breakwater. And we think half of that would be a great improvement, considering we've seen nothing done to this at all. And then the next one, please, the engagement. Maybe you want to read that out?
No.
Oh, we're just wanting to engage and get really good outcome, and we think we need to engage in community engagement again. And Kim Swarbrick did a really good job doing the engagement. It's probably 5 years since we did it, and we think it needs to be in the community so we can see. And the last one here you can see is the conditions when they get out of control. And so it makes it impossible to get them out. The next one.
Especially when you're going uphill.
Is
that the last one? That's the last one.
Yeah. I can show you what it looks like.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was that?
You can see
When was
that.
that?
I can't give the date. It's been in all of these bits and pieces have all been in the last 2 or 3 years, really, most of it. It's in the Jocelyn Maloney's report. But this is what happens. They predict the weather to be good, and it ends up not like that. And it's really, really dangerous. And sooner or later, we're going to have some really serious events there.
So what can happen is people can go out and in their like maybe single or 2-person small sailing boat, and then they find it tricky to come in because they won't have any steering when they get this close and the waves are pushing them around. Is that what I'm understanding is the dangerous part about it? Okay.
And trying to get on a trailer, it's just impossible.
But what James is saying is that with a yacht, and I'm a motorboat person, James is the yacht.
Yeah.
I've done it before. Is that when you come into those pontoons that are there, you put your keel up and your rudder up because you can't, it's too shallow to get on the ramp, and then you've got no control over the boat without your rudder or keel.
Yeah, and that could end badly in a condition like this. And you're out there, so what else can you do? Yeah.
How many of those in frontwards? You bring the flattest part. The biggest risk is just the waves coming behind you. So all that effort comes back on it. You've got a front control float in a sea like that. That's going to take.
Yeah, no, understood. Thank you. You explained it very well in a short period of time. But I think we've got one question from Tyrone.
Can I just spend about 30 seconds to read out our.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
We did have one issue this year where a boat came on, like Tony mentioned, and it came right on the trailer, went over the front of the trailer with the winches and ended up on the back of the car. And it was very, very dangerous. I think, as I say, 21 events where I haven't been able to sail this year. It's really got a lot worse from a lot of reasons. Right, the boat safety group wishes the council to engage with the community engagement and rebuilding, reinstating Naval Point spur breakwater back to its original form prior to 2010 earthquakes. The community engagement should be initiated, we thought, in May, with submissions in the end of May and construction to begin at the initial stages of construction one over the winter of 2025. We have a new parks manager and we are expecting to see urgent safety improvements starting this year. We require a workshop with the Christchurch City Council staff, Rupert Bull, Christine Bowen, and Paul Devlin, as well as Lynn Leslie. But from the Peninsula Community Board and the councillors and community board members. We have needed to engage with the community, having had no engagement for several years, we think about 5. Kim has been excellent in previous engagement work facilitating community engagement, and we've been pleased to have her continue this role. The everyday users need these improvements now, not, we've started in 2000, so we've been going a long time trying to get some improvements. Stage 1 should commence this year with rebuilding half of the spur breakwater section, which lies below the water level at half tide. Stage 2 should follow in 2026 and the remaining submerged section of breakwater rebuilt to its former height. Careful monitoring of this effect on the breakwater on improving the wave environment will assist in evaluating stage 3 requirements of an extended breakwater to achieve optimum safety outcome. Eden, you just very quickly just say, where else in New Zealand have got?
Well, I'm sure everybody is sort of reasonably aware of the facilities around the country. But the council are working on this, and we've been constantly told by the council that it's in design stages, and that's just going on and on. And what we'd like is some support from the community here for the importance of getting some safety improvements done. And that's just taking forever.
Yes, yeah, no, I can understand the frustration there. Thank you for that. What we can do, because I know that you also presented at the LTP for the LTP at council, so I'll keep staff very keenly eyed on what results come back from there, and then follow up anything that, you know, we want progress on this. I hear you guys, and I know as a board we've heard from you before, but it's great to hear the latest information to keep it fresh as well. And then the workshop this afternoon as well. So there might be something come out of that. I don't know what will come out of that, but yeah, we hear you, and yeah, we're hopefully cross-linked about the LTP. If not, we'll work from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, sorry, we've ran out of time now. Sorry, guys. You've explained very well, but we need to
write the questions down here by this guy.
Oh, good. Yes, good point. So, any questions for these gentlemen, pass that through to staff so that we can follow that up, so that we can keep that ball rolling, because we really do need to do that. Keep that relationship open.
We're going to leave a copy of this here for all of you to have a look at, and you take it over and look.
Fantastic.
We want to leave it back in the building so people can follow up later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. Right. Do we have Sabrina arrive? Okay. That's fine. That's worked out well with time anyway. Okay. No deputations by appointment, no petitions. So we've got Linda. Come on up for Aotearoa Museum Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Just to finish that sentence. Hold up.
Lovely to see you this fine morning.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Isn't it? So you have before you the minutes of the Aotearoa Museum Advisory Committee meeting that was held on the 21st of May. They received the Friends of Aotearoa Museum or phone report. We reported that they recently paid the full printing costs for a book on Don McKay's photographic work on Banks in the 50s and 60s, so they're very happy to have that now. They also covered the purchase of a significant number of fabric swatches that had been woven by Aotearoa Tweed, which operated from Rūjolie in Aotearoa from 1938 to 1949 and employed between 6 to 10 people. The clothing made from Aotearoa Tweed was sold in the Christchurch department stores through the early 1940s, including Valentine's and Beats. The museum director also reported that a recent visitor satisfaction survey showed that 97% of visitors to the museum are satisfied with their visit and 56% are extremely satisfied. So that was really good results for them. That's it from me.
Fantastic. Any questions about those before we sign off on them?
Just to comment, actually, just in the apologies section there, very nice recognition of Stuart Miller there. I think I'm just reading, and that's quite lovely to read in the minutes. Not a question, just an observation. But and with that, I'm happy to move that we accept those minutes.
Yep, I'll second that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving right along, Linda.
Reserve committee minutes. We had minutes of 6 reserve committees before you today, and some points of note include for the Littleton reserves, you have an additional resolution to note the resignation of Riwe Couch and the recognition of his long-term contributions and expertise in pest control, weed control and native plants. And the committee also reviewed their triennial plan for Rākaihautū Reserve, which will be presented later today as well. Standing Park Reserve Committee discussed how they could best share the map of the park with visitors to the area at no cost to them, and are investigating adding a QR code to the sign at the park entrance, which would link to the website. The reason they're doing this is because visitors are currently charged $2.50 at the information centre for a map, and they can't buy they can only buy with cash at the information centre because they don't have EFTPOS there. So it makes it quite difficult for them. So we're looking for other ways to do that. The minutes also contain the results of a survey that was part of a wider residents survey used to assess customer satisfaction with community parks. And they said the feedback was overall very positive, but also highlighted the need for track improvements on the Stanley Park Reserve. The Bonds Bay Reserve Committee, there are a couple of extra resolutions there. One, to note the resignation of Jenny Nicol and thank her for their many years of service to the Reserve Committee. And one, to approve the appointment to the committee of Donna Hamilton. Donna and her husband are relative newcomers to the Bay and permanent residents, and Donna is an accountant who works from home and is keen to be involved in the community. You may have noticed that the Bonds Reserve Committee still have financial accounts, which is outside the terms of reference. Our community development advisor is working with the committee to determine how they will manage the pool before they decide whether to become an incorporated society or a trust. Facilities have recently been out to meet with the group and are happy with the way they're managing, activating and maintaining the facility in the interim. Our Waiti Reserve Committee, you have an additional resolution there to approve the appointment of Mark Creamer, who is from the Wairewa Runanga and happy to join the committee. That committee is currently considering whether to recruit more members and continue as a committee next year, or to adopt an alternative structure in collaboration with the Parks team to contribute to the care of the reserve. Nothing further for the reserve commissions.
Okay, I think we've got a question from Tyrone there, or a comment.
A question, thank you. Just noting the resignations and really thankful for the work that Iwi and Jenny have done. Will we write to them?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good. Okay, brilliant.
Is it that's standard now, is it, for resignations?
Yes.
Across the board, it's thank you.
Just recently,
Just recently, which is wonderful.
Well, good. I mean, these people give up their time so willingly. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Much appreciated by yes. Any other comments or questions? I'm happy to move that if someone would second that. That's it. All those in favour?
Right.
That's carried. Oh, still on to Littleton Reserves Committee. Rākaihautū Reserve Training Plan. The training plan.
Yes, I'd like to welcome to the table Kirsty Brenner, Chair of the Littleton Reserves Committee, and Paul Dublin, Manager of Regional Parks. The Urumau training plan was presented to the board at its 10 June 2024 meeting, and the plan before you today is specific to the Rākaihautū Reserve.
Okay, page 49. Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, Kirsty. Welcome, Paul.
So thanks for having a triennial plan. It's taken us some time to get this one over the line because we were waiting for some advice from a botanical survey that was done in 23-24 by the previous reserves committee. So we had some advice from an ecologist on the native plants and the invasive plants that are in the reserve and what recommendations they made for management of the reserve. So it's 87 hectares. The reserve goes from the bridle path over to Cascade, so it's quite extensive, and it's really important for connectivity for walkers and bikers and the like. Council have provided some track maintenance, old man's beard clearance, and what else would you say is in that reserve? Yeah. But overall, the approach to management of that reserve has been quite passive. The advice from the ecologist who did the botanical survey has said that the key thing is to keep on top of the threatened species, the invasive species. So we now have locations of some key threatened species that are in the reserve. So of the 154 native plant species found, 18 are threatened or at risk, and 6 of these are endemic to Banks Peninsula. And there's also 124 exotic species found. So there are some key areas, especially around the Rocky Bluffs, that are particularly important for just maintaining space for those native plants and making sure that we're on top of the exotic species. That's Any questions?
Yes, questions.
Oh,
Kick it off, yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just in terms of like mountain bike tracks, I've you know, over the years, there's kind of been, you know, it's a whole lot of things have gone on with the mountain bike tracks there, sort of repairing and sort of, what's the term I'm looking for? Like the creation of road tracks, for want of a better term, whatever the term is. Like how are things sort of just tracking at the moment in the reserve?
Yeah.
In terms of those tracks.
In Pātaka Reserve?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Sorry. No. Mate.
Oh, in Irvine.
Yeah.
Things tracking. Yeah. Quite a good relationship with it.
Oh, sorry. Is this not a Nudamo conversation? Ignore. Sorry. I just. Sorry. Yeah.
Totally understandable. Yeah.
Scratch that from the record, please. Yeah.
Good. Sorted.
Tell me to shut up.
There are some tracks within Whakarapa as well.
That's right.
And potentially create tracks.
So there have been some, we have heard of a road track builder, we've discussed that. And so one of the points in the triennial plan is to map the existing tracks and then to make sure that we are keeping on top of the maintenance of those tracks, or making sure council are happy with those tracks and keeping them to a standard, and then trying to discourage any behaviour of creation of new tracks.
Yeah, the only new track was the one that was approved by both reserve committees and the board, which was the connection from Steadfast to the top, which was proven really popular.
Yeah.
Which I just wanted to support that feedback regarding the track up to Steadfast and connecting to is well used and well appreciated by the community, and knowing that people are coming from over the hill down. Yeah, and just acknowledging the continuity of the previous work that was done, because I've always wondered where that would go to. So that's also for a big reserve. And yeah, great work, you guys, for a small team.
Yeah, it was really good to have that report. And we're just hoping to with the triennial plan, set it up in a way so that the next reserves committee can kind of hit the ground running rather than kind of.
And in terms of your reserve committee and the CASPO, do you have some kind of good relationship of talking there on how it all connects with each other?
Paul's our main conduit.
Which is,
There's a few people wearing multiple hats as well. So
thank you.
Good call. Who, you know, as a group to do the native plant survey and figure out what's where and what's endemic. So that's obviously something really interesting, that there's 6 endemic species there, and that sort of focus on protecting those and getting rid of those pest plants. Yeah, surveys are great. Understanding, I guess, complexities of issues and where the problems are is key to solving some of those issues. So good job on that. Shall we go ahead and get a mover and a seconder for that, please? 2 over there, mover and seconder. We've got Tyrone and
done a high five.
All those in favour? Aye. That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today. 24-25 discretionary response fund application. Got Dane and Joe and Andrea who've been working hard on this as usual. Hi guys.
Yeah, I've got another 3 very worthy funding requests currently. Nothing too much to say here, just if you take any questions on these.
That's on page, just give everybody a chance to catch up, page 61. Yeah. Is there anything in particular of things to note with any of those? It seemed pretty clear there, but
Nothing, yeah.
no, it's all good.
Understanding community needs that have come up.
The grow room sounds interesting. I don't know about that. Be interested to see what it actually looks like.
Yeah. If you go online and have a look, they've got models of what it looks like.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
Great.
Food producing architecture.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Was a good report. Just wondering, in case of Accra Croquet Club, why there is, a few hundred short of what they have asked, and the same with Akropo caregiving group as well.
Yeah, so those are in the case of Akara, obviously we want to fund things fully wherever we can, but where there is the opportunity for clubs to contribute some of their own funding, we try and encourage that. And in this case, they were able to contribute a little bit, which saved us a little bit of money. So we wouldn't want them to have to fundraise, but if they are carrying some reserves, it sort of creates a good way for us to encourage some investment of their own and for us to support them.
Oh, that's so it wouldn't stop the project.
No, definitely not. We would, we wouldn't want to put them in a position, where they wouldn't, particularly with winter just coming up. So like a heat pump, we want it to happen quickly, but we also, $500 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're getting requests that are like $400, it's like we can do that on a few projects that enable us to fully fund something else. So it's about making smart decisions.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on the Whakarapo caregivers group, the difference between what they requested and the recommendation is fundraising they've already done. So similar situation, they did a garage sale at Project Littleton, and so that has raised them a small amount of money. So that's the difference. If you were of a mind to fund the full amount, they will put it to good use. But the recommendation was based on the fact that they'd already done that fundraising. Yep.
Well done. Thank you.
Fantastic work. Unless there's any other questions, we'll take all those 3 in the one officer recommendation. I have a mover and a seconder. Yep. Luana and Asif. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? It's carried. Thanks so much for your work, Tony.
Thank you.
We're going on time. What is it? That's not right, is it?
No.
Just about had a freak out. Okay. Standing orders amendment. Well, especially if I had Liz, but Jonathan's coming up. Thank you very much. Motion, that's on page 67.
So my name is Jonathan Jones. I'm the Community Board Advisor for Spring and Cashmere Headcoat. My board is Cashmere Headcoat. I'm sitting in for my colleague Liz, who's unwell today. So this relates to the Standing Order Amendment Notice of Motions report before you. I would just point out that the purpose of this is to allow greater time for council officers to consider notices of motion. This is to increase from 5 to 10 days. And that this amendment to the standing orders was considered by the council on the 16th of April and passed by the council. So it's before you today. Otherwise, I would take the report as read if you answer any questions that you might have.
Yes, Tara and Asif and Laura.
Please, after you, when it was passed by council, was it passed unanimously?
How about we can move on to another question if you want to have a look over time. Yeah.
It's actually related to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
we'll just take a minute. We're in no right. We've got time. if it's easy enough to find. If it's going to be difficult, then we can come back to it if you like.
What I can say is that it was put to the council with a 15-day, 15 days, 10 days in council. In terms of the voting on it. I'm just looking at the council minutes. I can't see a vote.
That's fine.
I'm not sure it was.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's not necessarily.
So, yeah, I was the.
So the general consensus on the table. So you, Tyrone, sorry.
Far away.
No, you go,
Okay.
please.
Yeah.
So the general consensus at the council table was to change it from 5 to 10. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah. Okay, so what would happen? You've given two options here. One is your preferred option, change from increase the standing order days from 5 working to 10 working days. What would happen if board chooses to go with second option, which is not your preferred? Would they have any significant impact on the decision that council has made, or this is just a tick the box?
I would say kind of two parts. One would be that it would be different to council, so there'd be a kind of a consistency. I don't think of itself that causes any issues apart from the fact that this board would have inconsistency standing orders compared to council and potentially other boards. But going back to the purpose, that the purpose of this is to allow adequate time for council officers to conceive, to receive the request and consider it and respond. So I guess that's really the consideration that you'd be wanting to think about in this space, is that with the greater time, it's a greater time to consider the cause for the notice of motion and what the substance of that is.
So currently, sorry, the CE can choose, to give an opportunity to people, reduce the number of days for a standing order. In the past, a number of standing orders were not approved, were not processed, and what was the reason behind that?
Could be various.
I can answer that.
Notice of motion.
Many and various different reasons for notice of motions not being accepted by the Chief Executive Officer. Anything from works actually already underway to, the notice of motion just not being appropriate to what's being asked. There's just many reasons. This 5 to 10 days, it doesn't mean that every notice of motion is going to take 10 days from now on. We'll still get them done as quickly as possible, and some of them will come back in 3 days and 6 and 4. All of that, we're just, with the amount of notice of motions that were coming through and the information required to make a good decision by the CEO, means staff have to gather all the correct information and get it back to the CE, and there just wasn't enough time for the bit of 5 days. So Jonathan's right. It was debated at council extensively. It was proposed at 15. They came down to 10. Yeah, I don't believe it was unanimous, but yeah, it's just a waste of time. I'm not saying that it's going to be 10 days.
Historically, 15 notices of motion that were received between 2019 and 22. Is it a lot as compared to your historic record? Or is it something very particular with this council?
Not just councils, community boards as well. In my experience, having been in the role quite a long time, we are getting more notice of motions than we used to.
My question is for you, Madam Chair. Can we allow debate on this particular topic? Please.
Yeah, sure. Sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. Okay, so we need a mover and a seconder then. Are you happy to move, Tara?
No.
Oh. Okay. Right. Luana, yep, I'm having to second it. Okay, let's debate.
Well, I mean, I didn't move or second, so I'll allow people to speak to it before.
Sure. From my understanding, we don't use this very often here on, Peninsula Community Board. It is a tool to use. From my understanding, we want to have some information sought, good information sought if it is even needed with a good amount of time. Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Lynn. I'm not going to support this. I mean, it's been raised around the table that it was contentious at the time. I sort of think that just because councillors throw notices of motion at the chief executive doesn't mean that it feels like it's an infringement on an elected member's ability to be able to engage with staff and to be able to bring things of importance to the table when they're not necessarily on the agenda. And I think that I think councillors have played fast and loose with this a little bit, especially during this term. But elected members on a community board should not be punished, because I mean it's effectively a punishment. It makes things harder. It makes things more complicated for elected members to bring things to the table. So I don't believe that community board members should have to suffer because councillors have behaved badly, basically. So that's why I won't be supporting it.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Sam, I agree, Carol. I see standing orders as an opportunity for elected members to raise the voices of their community. And in some cases, it is really hard to take some actions, timely actions. So notice of motion is one way to do so. In this board, during I have been in this term, I'm not aware of anyone has raised any standing order, notice of motion. So I think this is taking their power away from the elected members. And I understand the workload, but that is something shouldn't come at the cost of the local community, not being here, the voices of the community, and especially the elected members. It should be compensated if time was the issue at the council level, not at this issue. So I wouldn't be supporting this.
Okay, noted. It's an opportunity to potentially ask some clarifying questions too. Yeah.
I'm just glad that we are very functional around here.
Well said, Kathy.
All right, so let's put that to a motion then. If there's no more questions or comments. All those in favour? Aye. Against?
No. Division.
What division is against?
We have our votes recorded.
Oh, recorded independently.
Yeah,
okay,
independently.
How do we do that?
Well,
Jonathan.
Who's running it?
Who's running it? Who is? Oh, he's up the front. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, just going to division.
Okay, so I'm in favour. Yeah.
Yes.
On the fence, I seem to feel reasonable on this side of allowing extra time, but it impacts our local community in terms of being able to do this. Not that we've done it in our term, I suppose. Can you please come back to me? Against.
And a no from me.
Okay, so we can let it against.
Okay. It is not gone through. Okay, that is noted. Thank you very much, team. It's always interesting when it goes to something like that. I think it's great. We follow process. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Really appreciate your time for that.
Thank you.
Now, where are we up to? Elected members exchange. Oh, that's to us. All the stuff we've been up to. There's been a lot going on this. Shall I start? Is that okay? Oh, have I missed something? That's likely to happen today. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. Area report. Let's go back a stage. go to area report. And who is doing that today? Yeah.
that'd be good.
Yes, please, thank you. Whatever works today. Thanks for pointing that out, Joe.
Anything to highlight or any questions?
Let's get to the page 73. A lot going on there, upgrades.
So we're happy to take the report as read.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions about any of the work that you find people and the staff are doing in the community, you can discuss that a little later.
Yep. I'm just letting the team have a little bit of a think and a scroll through just so that they remember what they read earlier.
Self-explanatory, thank you.
Yeah.
And happy to move. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? No questions, comments? Okay, I'm happy to second that. All those in favour?
Aye.
I feel like I'm rushing you. Am I rushing you?
No, you're good. You're the chair.
No, but I'm looking around and I'm saying, no, all those in favour? Aye, against? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks for sitting up the front. All right, now, round 2, elected members exchange. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but there wasn't an elected members exchange meeting anyway, so I guess I can report on next steps with flooding stuff. So a lot of that is now being handed over to flooding roundtable work. And there was a letter from Mark Mitchell, who's the Civil Defence Minister of Parliament, and he sent requests to all of the councils involved in the recent flooding event in regards to wanting to hear feedback and any progress in regards to that. So I know that there's been a lot of staff who've been working hard to review certain systems and how things are going. Hoping the NZTA are also doing that as well, especially considering the flooding and the lack of clearing of the waterways and the sides of the road. There's been a lot of silt left around our area, and that's causing flooding today just because it hasn't been cleared. So that is 100% NZTA's job to do, and I've been following up with some emails to their hotline, but I'll also follow up with Downer as well. So if anybody wants to, especially if you're driving along there, send them information about new floods or new slips, please do, because I think it's going to be a squeaky wheel type situation. So yeah, going back to the flooding round table, I guess all reports will be sent back there, and there's going to have to be a decision about how that gets then socialised with the community, how we hear back from agencies involved about next steps and how we let the community know, because that's a big part of it, is engaging with Wārewa and, Akaroa, who also use the State Highway 75. It is our main highway. It's very important to keep that open, and I think that needs to be a big focus, a big push from this board. If I can get your support on that one, that would be great. Yeah, that's kind of what's been happening in my neck of the wood. Go this way. Oh, go this way.
Yeah, thank you.
You've got lots to talk about, as if I reckon. So yeah.
No, I'll just focus on one thing, I think. Yeah, so flooding obviously well managed and response was relatively better as compared to past events. So our community is very happy with that. And we around the base emergency response team launched their resilience plan for around the base, especially Accra and Anuku, and it was well attended. Full house, Gaiety was full. Usually Gaiety is full when there's a music event, but in this case, it's a boring subject, so it shows the interest of the community. And on the lounge, Honourable Minister Mark Mitchell, he wrote a letter to support at the lounge event as well as James Mayer, Minister of South Island. So it was very well attended. work has been done. So if any other communities around the base and Waterbanks Peninsula, if they need some guidance, or if they want to use similar document, then we are happy to share with those. 500 copies that council funded and were printed, they have already been distributed, and a lot of people they are asking for more copies. So we are thinking about asking council for funds for printing some more copies of those. So it shows the community proactively preparing, and they are willing to participate in this exercise. Thank you. That's from my.
Thank you, Elsa.
Just in the vein of what you were talking about, Lynn, just driving through this morning, just the blocked drains, so ongoing maintenance of that and these heavy rain episodes or events doesn't seem to happen much around the peninsula. So I think moving forward with climate change, everything that we're experiencing, what does the regular maintenance look like for our roads, especially our roads where we do have a lot of silt running off the road, where we don't have footpaths and proper drains. That was just one of the things. It wouldn't be a community board meeting without me raising the issue of boy races again, especially in consideration of the recent serious incident that happened over Summer Road here. Again, where do the police sit in this with new proposed boy racer laws coming into effect? Again, it's just a piece of paper unless we've actually got some type of police monitoring of that. And I just want to mihi to our local community groups. I had a hui with Tyrone, with Dawn Sutton from the Pātaka Community Garden. Just really great to see our community groups working alongside other community groups. I don't know if I can mention the name of who they're working with at the moment, Tyrone, with the proposal with the other community gardens. I don't know if that's a sensitive.
Probably just
so just coming up with local initiatives and solutions to what they want to see in their communities.
Thank you. Great, thank you, Lynn. Julian, you ready or?
Yes, I don't think just small short things, but one, well, in terms of what's been happening, Littleton Museum they've raised questions about the involvement of, myself currently as the rep on the museum committee, and how much involvement with their constitution, and talked about a lot of involvement, whereas that wasn't my impression. That needs to be resolved with staff. I've asked, but haven't got any replies yet. And other than that, I've been to went to an afternoon tea for Women's Refuge, which was held in Littleton. I've also had a request, on a similar line to the museum request, really, partly from a Stoddart Cottage Trust, about having a representative for community board. I think that's what they want for them. So I think the person directly involved, Paula Smith, would probably contact. She's trying to make contact with staff as well. And other than that, I have noticed there's been some discussion online about the wool shed and what's happening to that, which I wonder what we can do in terms of helping to get something happening there. So
the wool shed down here.
Yes.
Right, sorry, I was thinking what wool shed we're talking about. But the Littleton wool shed.
And not that kind of wool shed. So that I think is interesting and could be something good to pursue. That's all.
Great, thanks, Lynn.
Okay, so I'll just summarise stuff with the community groups I liaise with. The Summit Road Protection Authority had a meeting, and they were all presented he didn't present the Port Hills vision, but they're working on the Port Hills vision. So it would be lots of stakeholders. So it's work on council land, public land, but happy to liaise with private landowners. So the whole Port Hills vision. The rec grounds development's going really well. Rugby's really happy. They're playing, but I guess on days like this, they'll just have to see how things go. Went to afternoon tea for Community House, so a group of friends of Wendy and Community House. Yeah, that was lovely.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, sad to see her go, but Community House is still ticking along. And someone in the community mentioned about how we support senior residents, especially as far as towards Diamond Harbour, and then it just reminded me about my liaison with age concerns. I just need to revisit and reconnect. I think we kind of had some kind of saying that, you know, Kathy's your liaison, but I didn't really connect with anyone yet. So it'd be quite nice to do that. Tree planting season's on, so there's a lot happening there. 40 Winchester Street, the community church is ticking along nicely, and Keep Christchurch Beautiful's having their AGM this month. So that's good. And there's fibre in the bay, so you'll see some roadworks between here and there. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah, and thanks for raising that about Wendy, who's for those who don't know, was the social worker at the community house. And it was nice, really lovely to have an afternoon tea with her. She's done such great work. And to acknowledge US officially, like, so obviously we had the community meeting in Akaroa, and the work that you've done there is really extraordinary. You know, if you can turn out 200 or 150 to 200 people on a Saturday afternoon in Akaroa, the Gaiety Theatre, you're doing something right. So, you know, thank you to you for that. And the others involved, of course. So in no particular order, I also recently attended the Pest-Free Banks Peninsula Partners Hui out in Lincoln recently. So, you know, it's one of those great things where, like, you know, there's all this sort of formality, I suppose, but like just behind the scenes, there are all these people doing huge amounts of work across the peninsula in terms of, you know, trying to make it a better place in terms of, you know, native reforestation and all of that. And it's just lovely just to get into a room with all those people and just, you know, just see all the voluntary hours that people put into behind the scenes, and just to acknowledge them. And Luana, you mentioned the community garden stuff over in Diamond Harbour / Church Bay, so that's good. Good work going on over there. I have also, just out of interest for the group, like I've been on the hearings panel for the dog control bylaw and policy. So we convened on Friday as a group, 5 councillors involved in that, and made a recommendation to council, which will come before council, I don't know, sometime in August or something like that. And I think the key thing there is that there are two quite contentious elements to that discussion that are Banks Peninsula based. One is about you know, dogs being on or off a lead over in Diamond Harbour along the coastal cliff track, and the other one is the rec ground over here. So we've made sort of recommendations. Not easy, a lot of feedback on these things, because despite the fact that, you know, I mean, I'm looking out the window now, like we sort of live in this beautiful rural idyll, but also there actually, ironically, aren't that many places that you can walk a dog. So I'm not personally a dog owner, but you know, acknowledging that many people are. 1,000 dogs in Littleton, apparently.
Wow. Okay, that's a few. Where are you going to walk them in? Yeah.
Is that right? I think there's 2,000. Someone gave me the number. There's 2,000 dogs in Banks Peninsula, which is, you know, just a shade under 10,000 people. That's quite a lot of dogs. So, you know, we love our dogs. Yeah, what else do I like to raise with
farming? Eating more than
sorry,
farming.
Farming,
yes.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, apparently 1,000 in Littleton, and then 1,000 in the rest of Banks Peninsula. I would have thought it would have been the other way around because of the rural nature. Anyway, you'd have a few, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I also had a meeting just recently. Let's raise it, the Port Welfare Committee, which is, it's just sort of flies under the radar a little bit, but it is actually a committee that meets quarterly just to discuss the needs of our seafarers and, or, you know, the seafarers that visit our port, and just about how we extend Manaaki to them and just take care of their needs. So I think it's just really important. I mean, obviously, Littleton is a fort, an international fort, and it's quite a big part of our kaupapa here in Littleton to do that. And that'll do it. I'm sure I'll think of something else as soon as I've moved on, but yeah. Thank you, Lynn.
Good.
I was meaning to that, when I was port liaison committee meeting last Tuesday, I can't think of anything significant that I need to report from that.
Bloody noisy, isn't it, Gillian?
Don't start that. Okay, so
season's finished.
Yeah, that reminds me, I've also caught up with the Waitaha Primary Health. So there's a little bit of plugging in there now that the nurses' room is open in Birdley's Flat Hall. The Akaroa Health Centre are going to run some GP visits there, and they're going to have the first one on the 11th of June. And so depending on, you know, how popular they are, that could be an ongoing thing. So we're hoping that that is quite a popular thing. Also, Waitaha Primary Health are looking at other mental health services, and also, yeah, there's quite a lot of services that they run through there that could be helpful to the Wairua area or even the whole Banks Peninsula area. So yeah, that's just a good little side discussion. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, just one other thing, actually, while it's just, I've just recalled. So the Matariki Awards as well is, so that's the thing that I guess we should probably, there's an initiative by the Littleton Harbour Business Association, and it's just acknowledging, you know, people that do great work around Littleton Harbour, and so the premise of that is awarding based on the characteristics of each of the stars of the Matariki constellation. So that's so the awards. So I'm on the panel for it, along with Nick Karako, Tracy McClellan, and Melissa Weenie. And so that's the panel, the four of us, and so that awards evening is on Matariki on the 20th of June. So it's going very well. Yeah, so it's being led by Sabrina Saunders, who does a great amount of work.
Are we allowed to crash that again?
Yeah, how do you get an invite?
So you have to have with Sabrina.
Cool. All right. Let's, if we're all finished now, there's nothing else tip of the tongue or burning to say, we will conclude the meeting with our karakia. Unahia, ki tūru tāpuna, kia wātia, kia mama, te nākau, te tina, te wairua, e te ara takata. Koe rā e roho, whakaeria ake ke runga, ke tina, hui e tāike. Thank you very much.